Today I'm going to talk about the term, the devil's advocate. It's an old term, been around for a long time. Some people might wonder what that means, the devil's advocate, and how that could relate to, let's say, friendship. Now, the definition for the devil's advocate is a person that takes an opposing side of, let's say, a narrative or a belief system or an idea or whatever. They take the opposing side and they take it purposely. And why do they do that? Is it to cause an argument, or is it for a healthy debate? Or is it to maybe get the party to think, or even yourself, the opposing party, or even yourself, to think more deeply about a certain narrative or a certain belief system? Now, if a person is playing the devil's advocate, it's all about intention, okay? It's all about intention. If a person plays the devil's advocate to start an argument or to, let's say, make you angry, if they're doing it purposely for that, that's a little bit different than doing it. In fact, it's a lot different than doing it for a reason to raise some kind of deeper thought. Or when you look at an opposing idea from your idea or your narrative, what happens? What happens when somebody challenges you? Maybe challenge is too harsh a word, but it'll work. When somebody challenges you by presenting a whole different scenario or belief system, what happens? What happens usually? Well, if they don't understand, if they're not on a higher level, immediately what kicks in is the ego, all right? Because if you have a belief system and you have a narrative and you're anchored to that narrative firmly, somebody might say something that presents another side of the narrative. Your ego is going to flare up. It's going to get pissed off. It's going to get, how dare that person suggest a different way of thinking or a different belief system or a different narrative than I do? How dare them? And so when this happens, if a person is not, let's say, of a mind, okay, to either laugh it off or look at their own belief system, or look where there might be a flaw in their belief system or their narrative or their worldview or their way of thinking. There might be a flaw, or there might be, it's just a good thing, okay, if the other person is not doing it for, just to irritate you. And so in a way, unless you know that person's personality more intimately, let's say, unless you're more familiar with them, like let's say it's a member of your family, let's say it's a son or daughter or whatever, and you're talking to them and you as a parent, you might be thinking, well, my way's right, I've tested this out, and I'm pretty sure that, or I'm positive that my way's right. And so if your son or daughter or a member of the family raises the dreaded devil's advocate, well, if you know your son or daughter well, then you know that they're not doing it to hurt you necessarily. They're not there to cause you pain. They're there just to have a discussion, a debate, a healthy debate, so that you might see their side, or if they're playing the devil's advocate, they're doing it just for you to look deeper into your own belief systems, or maybe for both of you to together to look deeper into your own belief systems and see if there's any flaws, or if there's any room for improvement, or if there's any way that you can, let's say, modify or enhance your belief system. Now, you know, if it's a true friend, I mean, if you have a friend and you say something to them and they take offense to it, or maybe they're shocked or whatever, I don't care what kind of level or intellect or knowledge that person has, if they don't address that issue, it's a harm to them, and it's a harm to the friendship between you, okay? In fact, it could even end a friendship. And you find this all the time in relationships, okay? Because relationships can be competitive at times. They can be adversarial at times. So you know, sometimes you will find that in a relationship. And so the devil's advocate isn't necessarily, you know, a bad term. A lot of people, you know, may hear that term, devil's advocate, and think that you're an advocate for the devil, or that you're doing devilish things, or that you're evil, you're somehow evil, and that that needs to be addressed, or whatever. You can get off on all kinds of tangents about this term, the devil's advocate, or even the way you think about the term, the devil's advocate, okay? So, I don't know, I was just, you know, thinking about this today, and so now let's superimpose this kind of idea here on the world at large, let's say. Then you might start getting into a situation where people that think a certain way or have a certain narrative. I mean, this isn't exactly the same thing, but it's closely related. Let's say a majority of the people believe a certain way about an incident that happens in life or on the world stage, a war or anything. And you present a different side that is opposed or diametrically opposed to their view. They might think you're a devil. They might label you as a devil or an outcast or a black sheep or hell, they could even go so far as to say a terrorist, because now they're labeling people that dissent verbally. People that dissent verbally with a given narrative or a given idea or a given ideology can even be labeled terrorists, okay? And is that the same? Now, they may look at you as a devil, but that's is that the same as, wow, where'd all that light come from? I hate it when I set this thing and all of a sudden it does this. Oh, well. It's like maybe the lights are going on for a lot of people out there. I don't know. So yeah, on the world stage, to follow up on that thought, is on the world stage, people could look at you as a devil, you know, advocating something that is other than what their agenda or their plan or their worldview might be. So you find this on the world stage, and this could actually be used to trick people as well. Okay, Because let's say there's a truth out there, say like the truth about the Ukraine war, and they present a propagandized version or a different narrative that is 180 degrees different. They're playing a devil's advocate on purpose. Okay, they're playing a devil's advocate, and they know they are because they know they're lying. So there's a little bit difference here. Okay, the difference is that some people might be doing that to entertain new thoughts or debate, and other people might be doing that to mislead. Okay, and they know. Now, these people that know, that are evil, that propagandize and lie, every word that comes out of their mouth is a lie, they could be truly called some kind of devil, in my opinion. They could truly be called some kind of devil because they're doing it not only to mislead, but a lot of times to upset horribly. They may propagate a lie that is the opposite of the truth, okay, and the lie could be very upsetting, whereas if you knew what the truth was, it wouldn't be so upsetting. This can work all different kinds of ways, you know. This has many avenues of working or not working, whatever. So anyway, I thought I would just kind of toss that thought out there today about, because I come across this in sometimes, let's say, having a personal conversation with somebody that might look to me like they're coming from the same place or the same worldview or thoughts, okay? But the best way to deal with the situation where you think somebody offended you by playing the devil's advocate, or maybe you didn't quite know they were playing the devil's advocate, is to bury it, okay? Just fucking bury it, all right? You don't let your ego, okay, control your friendship. You don't let your ego get in the way of your friendship. You shouldn't be on such a high and mighty that my way is, I've worked for years on this, and this is the only way, and this is, why would you pose a different question or a different idea that might interfere with it? Okay, that is pure giant fucking ego. That's it. Now, ego, let's talk about ego. Let's segue into ego here. What is ego? Well, ego, like I have mentioned so many times before, is pure and simply the mind's definition of its existence on this plane. That's all it is. It's the mind, okay, that got all kinds of ideas from all kinds of different places and did all kinds of research maybe and had all kinds of experiences. The mind, and remember, the mind-body are all the same. The mind-body and everything that surrounds us and all the objects and everything, that's all the same. It's not part of the higher awareness. See? Now, there it goes again. Well, I guess I'm just going to have to live with this. Dark and light. Are the spirits at work here, or maybe there's some clouds? Oh, you know what? There are clouds today. We just suffered through a week of 110 to 114 degree temperature, and we finally got a break today with a few clouds and some more monsoonal activity. And so that's why this, I digress. Okay. So anyway, bury it, if it's causing you a problem, if it's causing you a division, or if it's causing a lack of communication, just bury it. I mean, and your other alternative is just to ask the person, well, what did you mean by that? Are you playing the devil's advocate, or are you did you say that to make me think about maybe my sure beliefs that I have, my positive beliefs that I'm positive that this is the way? Does it put a little crack in there? Does it make you think more? Do you ask the person, hey, you know what, did you, I was thinking about what you said, and I did, sometimes you will come to another conclusion. Doesn't mean your whole belief system will change, it doesn't mean that at all, but you might come to, it might offer a different shade of gray instead of black and white. It might cause you to look further into your, how you can improve your belief system, or maybe even discard your belief system. People have been known to discard belief systems, change belief systems, or have no belief system at all. Sometimes, you have to kick back and put the, put it in neutral. Put the gearbox in neutral, baby. Look at both sides. Look at both sides of the issue. Just be neutral. And see, that's where enlightenment comes in, is when you look at it all as just an illusion. I mean, whatever ego that person had is a complete illusion, or a delusion, whether they know it or not, as is yours, okay? It's a complete fabrication. It's a complete theft of other people's ideas and the way you were raised and social conditioning and all that kind of good shit, right? So, put it on the back burner. If there's a problem, think about what the person's saying, and you can entertain certain thoughts for a certain length of time without damaging your precious ego. You can entertain thoughts. You can think about, anytime you entertain a thought, okay, does that thought define you? Does that thought define you? Well, if you realize that you're just entertaining, it's like having somebody over for dinner, you're entertaining them, you're giving them a little bit of, you're giving a little to them, okay? And, but do they stay there all night? Does the person, if you have somebody over for dinner, do they stay all night? I mean, not usually, all right? They're gone, and then you can reflect on the little bit of entertainment you had there with them. And get what you will out of it. Get what you will out of it, Yeah, I'll entertain the thought. Well, and another thing, when you entertain a thought, maybe entertain, consider would be another word. When you consider a thought, what is considering? Well, it's thinking about, you're thinking, let me consider that thought, let me consider it, and see if it can add to or fit in with, where I'm coming from, or maybe, if we get a little dialogue going here, then the thoughts will expound or embellish what's going on, all right? So it's really good not to get pissed off, and it's really good to keep a mind like water, an open mind, and stay in that neutral ground there, kind of like a Taoist point of view. Now, maybe staying in the middle would be a better term here. Like you could enmesh thoughts, okay? You can also weave thoughts together. You can enmesh thoughts, okay? Or you can enmesh certain belief systems. See how can these two things mesh? Can they weave together? Can they create a tighter bond? Things of that nature, you know. Experimentation is always good. Being open-minded is always good. It's always good. And if you find something that strengthens you and refortifies you or weakens you, I mean, that's what the mesh is all about. You know, that's what weaving is all about. Strengthening, weaving things together, bonding, all right? Making things unified, all right? That's what's wrong with the world today. There is no unity amongst nations, peoples. It's all been torn apart, okay? So this is why I think that this consideration or this talk is good. So I'll leave it there today. Just a short video to make people think maybe a little bit more. Namaste.